Hello, and welcome to Marriage Unchained, the art of one flesh, where saving marriages, saving families, and saving souls is the flavor of the day. Now, let's join our host and author of Marriage Unchained, Catholic Alpha Radical, Jerry Jacobs Jr.
Welcome to Catholic Alpha Radical Live, where I help you fix your Catholic marriage. I've coached and helped hundreds of men in their marriages, and now I want to help you. Call 313-RADICAL now. That's area code 313-RADICAL, and ask me anything on tough marital issues, such as what to do when she's asked for divorce, what to do when you have a mutual agreement of separation but you didn't want it, what to do when your wife is cold and distant, what to do when your wife is having an affair, what to do when your marriage is bad, boring, lukewarm, and passionless, what to do when you engage in a marital embrace less than once a month, what to do when you sleep in separate bedrooms, what to do when she has left the home with or without the children, what to do when you're divorced but didn't want it. Call 313-RADICAL. That's area code 313-723-4225. That's area code 313-723-4225. Again, call 313-RADICAL right now for answers to intimacy problems, communication problems, prayer and spiritual warfare problems, authentic masculinity problems, aka how to man up. So, sit back, relax, take a chill pill, and get ready to rock. But don't duck. Can you feel it? Catholic Alpha Radical coming at you now. And welcome to Catholic Alpha Radical Live, the podcast that helps you fix your Catholic marriage while also giving you winning tactics for marriage problems, girlfriend problems, and intimacy problems for men. But moreover, my main mission is to keep you out of divorce court. And for Marriage Unchained, the art of one flesh, divorce combat coaching is the flavor of the day. We're also helping men understand marriage and courting, not dating, in the Catholic faith. Why? Because dating is for sex, and of course, courting is for marriage. In this 114th episode, how to man up in your marriage to win her love. Plus, live calls from you answering your marriage and crisis questions. So get in that queue at 313-RADICAL or at callinstudio.com/radical1 for some resolution to your marriage confusion. And the quote of the day is my favorite, and I quoting it because it is it goes with what today is show is about. So, quote, society offers you comfort, but you weren't made for comfort. You were made for greatness. Pope Benedict XVI. Bam. I've helped hundreds of men in their marriages. Allow me to help you in yours. Get live Catholic marriage help Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, for some resolution to your marriage confusion. Well, we are here for the radical rant of the day. It is Monday, and boy, I'm having a tough time, y'all. I'm having a tough time, and we had a good day, good family dinner yesterday. It was nice and sunny. My son came over and cooked some lobster tails for the wives, and some shrimp and some steaks. And me, I had, I had some, what do you call it? Smoked chicken on the smoker. So, and that's how you do it, man. That's how you do it on the Sunday with the family around, the kids, the grandkids, the son-in-law, the daughter-in-law. That's how you rock it on a Sunday, man. Throw some God in there, church and all of that. That's how you do it, man. That's how you build a close family and keep everybody on the same track. Okay. So today, what we're going to do is we are into how can authentic masculinity draw your wife, draw your wife's love and respect. Most today, all you hear is about how oaths men are, how we're selfish, we don't care about nobody but ourselves. On TV and the movies, we are looked up on as, you know, basically we don't take care of anything. If you look at all the movies now, all the heroes are women. All the TV shows on Netflix and Prime and all of that stuff. Even on YouTube TV, if you watch network TV, that kind of stuff. All the heroes are women. 90% of them. Every now and then throw a man in there, and but the woman's the one. All the corporate executive women, all the lawyer women have these wusses for men for assistants, and all the assistants are men. These wuss men just makes us look. You just get sickening, don't it? It does. It gets. I mean, you get tired of looking at it, don't you? That's why I hardly ever even watch TV. But I haven't had a TV. We have TVs, but we don't have network TV. No, nothing like that. We'll watch Netflix or the old stuff like like my wife. We're into Perry Mason and Murder She Wrote and all the older stuff, man, where you don't have to deal with that stuff. Women and women and men are men, and that's the way it's supposed to work. But I'm today. Sometimes you just get sick and tired of the way we're portrayed, and it's not fair, and I hate it, and I get sick of it, and so sometimes I gotta, I had another show planned for the day, but I woke up and said, you know what, this is, I just don't like the way it's going. Our president is he's basically a wuss too. He just does, he's arrogant. Every time you see him, you just want to cringe because every time out of his mouth, you know it's a lie. You just can't trust them. I mean, you don't really know. Today, men, we just have no direction, no guidance. Everything is our pleasure and what makes us feel good or what benefits we feel benefits us. And man, we can't win like that. You can't win, and when I say win, I mean the ultimate goal, man, of heaven, right? And even doing it this way, you can win on earth too, man, but you can't. And eventually, man, people like that, they always get, it always comes to a head. Always, always, always. Just like lying to your wife and wives lying to husbands and stuff. That stuff always comes to a head. And it just builds distrust. Like right now, nobody trusts the government. The only reason that anybody even deals with the government because they'll send the tax man to come take all our money. So we got to kind of deal with them a little bit, right? But with that being said, man, I just want everybody to know I'm sick of this, man. I'm sick of this, how we get treated, no respect. And of course, we earn a lot of that too. But still, the thing about it is there are a lot of good men out there. Most men are trying to be good. They just don't know how. And so that's what I'm trying to, help a little bit today is to teach, to understand, to help us understand what true and authentic masculinity is, where it comes from, why is it important, and for the main thing, but more important than that, man, our daily lives, how does that draw our wives to us? How does that make her love us and respect us and want to be near us and not want another man and draw our children to us? We've got to become virtuous. You've got to become holy. And that's another thing, dudes, they want respect. They want, as men, we want respect. We want fame and fortune. We want all these things, but we don't want to earn it the right way, right? We don't want, we don't want to be holy, right? Because, the opposite of what we get now, by looking like an oaf, by being stupid and looking dumb and stuff, they treat us, but then the other thing is to be holy, right? And if you become holy, the man God created you to be, all of a sudden you get respect. You get a different kind of respect that you can't take away, that nobody can take away from that. But no one wants to be that kind of man. They don't want to be virtuous, which is what holy really is, to obtain all the 64 virtues. And most men, we don't want to do that. That's too much work. We think that's another thing with coming to our faith. We don't really understand the things we even can and can't do. We think God restricts us with all this stuff, and really God does not really restrict you. He really doesn't. He just keeps you the holy, what is it called? The natural law which is the Ten Commandments, which you already have written on your heart anyway. That is really what God is really not wanting you to do, which is what? Abortion and having sex outside of marriage and, not, we'll say murder and stealing, all those kind of things. Well, the reason that he restricts that, man, is because, well, we harm other people and harm our souls, which is the most important thing, right? But man, as far as people like, well, you're not supposed to gamble and you're not supposed to drink and you're not supposed to do all this normal stuff that's not true. Everything in moderation, and people don't even really know their faith. And they go around telling people, well, you're not supposed to be drinking that drink. You're not supposed to be drinking that wine. You're not supposed to be gambling or anything. You're not supposed to be doing, well, y'all know the story. All the stuff that that stuff's not even true. That stuff's not even true. I remember when I first was my wife, she was Catholic, way before me, and she's a cradle Catholic. And man, we went to a seminary. Went to a seminary just to visit it because seminaries are very pretty. We do retreats there, and you get to get closer to God and stuff. And so I didn't know anything about all that stuff though. She just said, "Hey, you want to go?" Of course, me as my woman, I was like, "Yeah, I'll go." So we go, and it's beautiful, man. So it was. I think we went on a Halloween, something like that, and. So we go out there. They have this big bonfire, and all the priests and the brothers are out there, seminarians and stuff. And man, everybody's got a beer in their hand. I'm like, babe, these priests are drinking. See, this is how ignorant I was. I didn't even know, She said, babe, I said, babe, these priests are drinking. So she said, yeah. She said, matter of fact, I'm gonna go get me one. I was like, you are? Really? Yeah. I was like, but I thought that we weren't supposed to drink, and if you're a Christian and stuff. She said, that's stupid. I did, and so like where I go, so I get me a beer and a drink, and we just started talking and stuff. Matter of fact, on the campus of the seminary, there is a bar that all the priests and everybody goes to when they come visit, the seminarians and stuff, and the teachers and instructors and us. I mean, it's really, really cool, but that's what I'm saying. We don't really even understand our faith enough to even know what stuff we can and can't do. Why? Because we're not formed right. So today, real quick, the questions that we're going to answer and start talking about are how can authentic masculinity draw your wife's love and respect? And that comes with understanding what Christ is about, what Christ asked of us, why Christ is on the crucifix. Why do Catholics have Christ on a crucifix? Well, because and you hear me say all the time, that's so that we as men can look at that and understand what our mission is, our job is to die to ourselves, to die to our wants, desires, and needs in lieu of that of God, our wife, and our children. And so in return, what does that do? When you become as Christ, you draw your wife to you, draw her love to you. She respects you. She sees that you're a man of courage, a true, authentic man. And that draws women to us. Guys think, like guys that aren't passionate about their wives. Dude, how do you expect your wife to be passionate about you if we're not passionate about them? We just don't really talk to them. We just say, hey, how you doing? You have a good day. I had a good day. And that kind of stuff, man, that does not draw our wife to us. And we have to, the faith is exciting. The faith is exciting. Why? Because the faith shows us what we're really here for. It shows us our future. And it helps us to understand the main reasons that we are here and what we're supposed to be doing with our lives. Okay. The next question is, what is authentic masculinity and why is it important? Authentic masculinity is of Christ. It's us as a man to be like Christ. Christ wasn't a punk. Get that out of your head right now. Christ wasn't a punk. He wasn't weak. He wasn't a wuss. He was a very strong, true divine lover, man of God. He was the man. He is God and was God. And a lot of times we forget that. Christ was not a prophet, okay? He was not some dude that walked around talking about, all these great principles. No, he was God, became man, incarnate. And why? And he came to show us how to be authentic men and what that really means. And if we really sit down and learn and understand and try our best to be the men that we try to be in our marriages, you will see that your life will change. People think that you got to walk around to be like Christ and have your hands together like this and wear a white robe and just talk about, everybody tell everybody, be holy, peace be with you and all that stuff. See, that's crazy movie stuff. No, no, man. You're married. You're called to be married. If you're married, you were called to be married. Well, some of us were called to be priest or religious, and we didn't take up got up on his, got up on his call for that as well. A lot of us don't even know what that call feels like, right? But most of us, we can be drawn to marriage because that's our vocation. There's only two vocations: religious and which is the spiritual life, and or being married, which is marriage. So you're called to one-on-one. Those two are the things that Either one, as a man, you're gonna sacrifice. It's gonna hurt real bad. Either one you choose, as if you're married, if you're a priest, or if you're a nun, or if you're a wife, those two vocations, that's there's only two of them, and they hurt real bad. They hurt real bad, right? So the next thing is why is authentic masculinity being attacked? They call us toxic. They call it anytime anybody tries to be like Christ, you ever noticed it? Think about it. You ever noticed it? Right? If even when you're watching a commercial or you're watching something silly on YouTube or just wherever you go today, TV, wherever you go today, if somebody loves Christ, especially if you're a man, oh, you're crazy. You're mentally ill. Something's wrong with you. You're what's the one where they say you're overly too into the church. I have wives tell men all the time in my program, oh yeah, because they're wives, they feel guilty when they try to divorce you and stuff, and they see it's no good reason. They try to make up everything to make themselves feel better. Like this one wife told gonna take her husband to court, to child support court, not child support court, but to child custody court, and tell them that my client is praying too much with the kids, and the kids and the kids are scared because he's teaching them about the demonic, right? Which is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to teach your kids about angels and demons and the demonic and Christ and the faith and the church. And he said, man, I ain't even doing nothing, man. We're just praying and stuff, And so it's just crazy, another thing is to even let the government get in your life like that. This is what people don't understand. You're going to file for divorce and then the other person fights because they don't want you to just take their kid and stuff. You have allowed big daddy government in your life, and it's just silly. And women, they get all emotional. So what do? They take their husband back to court for all this little stuff. Whenever they don't get their way, they take their husband back to court. And after a while, the government just starts to screw up everybody, screw up everything. The government is not a father or a mother. They don't know, that entity does not know how to be nurturing and loving and to keep a family together. Okay, so if as a person, as a husband or wife, you file for divorce, you're basically asking the government to come in here and screw up my life and my kids, because kids are never all right when there's a divorce. Don't get it twisted. I've never seen a child that grew up their parents had divorced and they was cool. Even little kids, no, they're not okay. It's an illusion that selfish people do when they don't want to face up to the reality of the pain they've caused. Okay, because they're selfish. There's only two reasons that you're allowed in the guise of God to separate from your husband or your wife. One is physical abuse. Nobody said anything about verbal abuse, did they? Physical abuse or adultery. And that doesn't mean you can divorce them. And that doesn't mean you can get a file for annulment either. That just means that as a husband or a wife, the pain is too great and you just need some time by yourself to separate from the person till that person gets it together. And once that spouse gets it together, the offending spouse gets it together, then what are they called to do? They're called to reunite with their spouse, with their husband or their wife, to bring the marriage back together. Why? Because here's what happens. People want to divorce and get away from everything, and then they go and divorce, and then they see that the life ain't what they thought it was going to be out there. They're going to be with some other man or some other woman, and that ain't going to work out. And so then they start talking again and start liking each other again, and then they want to get back together, but they can't. Why? Because they already had married somebody else or had kids with them now. This is why God doesn't allow divorce, gentlemen. It's very simple. Time heals a lot of stuff if we just give it time and get our pride and ego out the way and get our and indulge in our prayer like we're supposed to. Okay. Next thing is so masculinity is being attacked because that's Satan. Satan wants us, and you can say Satan, evil one, the evil one, whatever you want to say, but basically, if Satan can destroy our families, then he can he's taking control of the country and the world, which is that's what's happening. The family's being attacked. So, in order to get through to the family, who do you have to attack first? First of all, we got to understand that we're going to go into this a little bit later, that what men are called to do. Men are called to protect, defend, and serve. That's our mission, right? Why? Because God gives men grace to assault the demons in front of them, to attack back, to defend against the demonic in their home. So basically, what does that mean? That means if we as a man, we don't understand what being a true man is and what our mission is supposed to be, we going out masturbating and pornographizing and going to be with our buddies all the time. We at work 12 hours a day and we are distracted, right? That's what when you hear me say distracted, that's what I mean. We're only concerned about ourselves really, and we're not lording over our home. And when we don't lord over our home properly, Satan walks right through our front door, walks upstairs and gets in bed with our wife and children. And then guess what do you have? Now you have chaos ensuing in your home. And so this is why it's important that we understand our mission, that men are given special powers to defend the supernatural world, to defend against the demonic in our home. Okay? And so the first mission of Satan is to get rid of the man. The government. That's what the government did, right? Back in the 70s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, 90s, the 2000s, 2010s, whatever. What do? In order to get to the wife and to the children, because women are emotional and they don't think straight sometimes because they think on a different plane, kind of like when it comes to emotional stuff. Well, we get rid of the man. They used to say, like in the Black Home, back in the 1970s, it started. You ever seen that movie, Coffee? No, not Coffee. What was it called with James Earl Jones? And, oh man, I can't remember that. But it was a great movie because it showed how in the black neighborhood, right? Like if you was a woman and you want to be on welfare or you needed some help, what they would do is the government would say, well, you can't have no government assistance if you got a man in the house or if your husband's in the house or whatever. Now, don't get me wrong. Of course, that's wrong. But my point of it is that was the beginning of getting the man out of the home. So that why? So that the government can come in and make you do whatever they want to. That's what the government does to the church right now. The Catholic Church takes all this money from the government. So guess what? The government becomes your daddy. And so what do? That means what? Well, you got to do what the government says, or we're going to take your money. That's how the United States runs everything in the whole world. They got all this money, and then what they do, they go to different countries and say, listen, you got to be an abortifactive. You got to do all these things, and if you don't do what we say do, we just going to take your money. You're not going to get no aid. That's what we do. And now don't get me wrong, our government does a lot of good work, but you've got to understand the other side of it too. So, because why? If Satan knows if he can get rid of the man who is the main defender and protector of the home and the marriage and the children, if I can get him out of the way, guess what? The women ain't nothing. All I gotta do is give them a little Medicaid, a little Medicare, a little medical help, a little money every month, give them some food stamps. They happy as a CC camp, ain't they? Ain't they? So this is the problem. This is the problem. We as men, when we get distracted, we allow these things to happen, and then we're going out sleeping with all these women and having kids and stuff, and all over the place. We can't take care of the kids we got. And now, guess what? It used to be the black neighborhood. Guess what? Now the Mexicanos and the white boys, it's happening to them too now. They got drugs all in their communities and stuff. Everybody tries to move out to the suburbs and stuff, but their stuff is all screwed up too. They girls have babies outside of marriage. They girls mess with these crazy dudes. They girls and sons on drugs and stuff, taking meth and all this kind of crap. Dude, nobody's immune to Satan, but we all think we are. Well, the more money we got, we just move out or create our own little whatever and we get protected. No, you don't. Satan is a supernatural being. He is a fallen angel, and you cannot get away from that no matter what you do. The only way you can get away from it is get your butt on your knees and start protecting your home through prayer, suffering, and sacrifice and penance like God wants you to do, like Christ did. That's authentic masculinity. If you try to do it any other way, you are not immune to anything that I'm talking about, okay? Next, why does being a wuss in our families and refusing to man up cause dissension, separation, and disrespect? The reason why is because, man, our wives and our family do what we do. Our wives and our family do what we do. You know, just like now, the stuff I'm talking about right now, it hurts people. It hurts me when I talk like this. You know, it does, because they can't take it. They can't take, because when you start, the thing about it is, man, in order to fix yourself, you got to take a good look at yourself. And people they don't want to do that these days. That's why they drug themselves up. That's why they have cell phones all the time and tablets and computers. They ain't got to deal with it. They can take drugs and meth. They ain't got to deal with all that stuff. But see, that stuff doesn't go away. It never goes away. And so you got to fix it. You got to look at yourself in order to, you know, men come to me, they lost their wife, they lost their children, they don't know what to do. And then I start talking about, well, you got to give me some money, because it's a lot of hard work to help you get your wife back when you didn't screwed your marriage up and she didn't screwed your marriage up and your kids are miserable. Number two, but more important, way more important than the money, is the hard work that you got to do to get this back in order. It's hard work. It was hard work to screw it up, but it's even way more work to get it back together, okay? So this is why, you know, you can't be a wuss in your family. You can't. You have to man up, lead your home like Christ, and then you draw your wife to you, draw your kids to you, and then you'll see, man, these problems will go away, and you still might have financial problems, or you still might have my sickness or something, or, you know, you're going to have tragedy in your life, but you ain't going to have the most crazy tragedy, which is you losing your wife and your family and your relationship with God. Those are the top three and most important things in your life, not your job, your career, or your money, or your car, or your house, or your credit. None of that. None of that. Because all that stuff is just stuff. It could be fixed. It can be fixed and gotten back. If you lose money, you can get money back, right? If you lose a car, you can get the car back, right? But you can't get your wife back if you don't know what to do. You can't get your respect of your children, the love of your children, if you don't know what to do, you know. And then especially if we mess up our relationship with our Lord Jesus Christ, then we don't even have the grace to even get that stuff back. Okay? So, great. So, in fact, in order to understand how to be true man, guys, this is the foundation of everything we do: the prayer, the suffering, the sacrifice, the penance, the understanding that in order to how do you become true, authentic man? You know, you want love, you want respect, you know, you want these things, you want peace, you know, you've got to earn that. You don't, just because you are a human person does not mean you deserve those things, because you have to work for it, because we're broken after the fall. And if we don't understand what the steps are to get that stuff back and keep that stuff reasonably under control, then we are hell on earth, right? We become in hell on earth. All right. So we will be back. Thanks a lot, guys, for hanging out with me today. And I'll be right back in a few seconds. And I want you to really think about the things I've said in this first part of the show today. Okay? Bam. If you're getting value from this podcast and would like more personal marriage help, visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an opportunity to work with me personally for free. Yes, within 30 days, learn how to become a better husband that attracts your wife back to you. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com and get a plan tailored specific to your marriage and situation. I've helped hundreds of men in their marriages. Allow me the chance to help you using my personal and gained experience. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for superior coaching for your marriage. Again, SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com. That's SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com to become the man God created you to be and the husband your wife needs. Lastly, I always get the question, why don't you help women? And I always answer them, I do. So, for all of you beloved wives out there that want to reignite that feeling of emotional closeness and complete love from your hubby, consider marriage coaching and visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an improved marriage within 30 days. All right, fellas, we are back. So let's get on track. So if you're having problems in your home and you're having problems understanding how to man up and what the problems that's causing in your house, believe it or not, it causes a lot of problems. It causes a lot of problems when we're a wuss in our home and we don't man up. And so what does that mean? You got to learn what that means. We're going to talk about that here in a minute. So please give me a call at 313-RADICAL. It's 313-723-4225. And then we can talk about it and not just talk about help you, but you will help others. So let's get going today. Next. So the art of manliness, the 9 tests of true man to win the heart of your beloved. And that is true, gentlemen. In order to win the heart of your beloved and keep it on fire, you must understand what authentic masculinity is. True man, a man of courage, understanding what a Christian soldier actually is. And the first thing that you understand is this life is a test. This life is a test. Get over it. We are not here as men to play golf and go fishing and camp out and go to the Indy 500 racetrack and go to the Cowboys and the Bears and the Lakers and all the games and everything. I know a dude that he watches every sport there is in the history of the sports. That dude can tell you everything about every sport on the planet. It don't matter what it is. The Indy 500, NASCAR, baseball, hockey, football, college basketball, all of it. He knows all of it. Gymnastics, wrestling. He can tell you everything, dude. He's got the big time YouTube TV, and he can go through and boom. They got tons and tons of sports channels on there, and that's his thing. That's his thing. And listen, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. What I am saying is when it's your life, when it's like your driving motivation that when it interferes with our prayer life, when it interferes with our time with our wife and our time with our children, dude, it's out of here. It's out of here. Why? Because this life is a test of what? Obedience. There are 2 parties that we go to when our particular judgment, right? Party 1 is heaven. Party 2, which ain't so good, is hell. Get over it. That's the truth. Don't let anybody tell you there's no other party. There's 2 parties. And then you got the party on the on-hold party was purgatory. Okay? We can probably go on that another day. But the main thing is, man, this life is a test of we say we love God. We say we love our wife. We say we love our children, right? Well, then prove it. Prove it. Be a man of virtue. Be a man of Christ. Understand what true authentic masculinity is. Every decision you make as a man is a test. The test of what? Are you worthy? Are you as a man worthy of that wife that God has given you? Are you as a man worthy of those children? Are you a man worthy to go to the big party? Are you? Right now, are you? And I'm asking you that because it's a tough question that we should be asking ourselves every day in some form or another. Why? So we stay on top of our game. We stay on top of our game. So our wife never feels like she's neglected. Our wife always feels like she's loved. Our children always respect us and know that we love them. Always, without us having to even say it. Although, of course, you should say it a lot. But I'm saying, you know what I mean. Actions mean everything, man. Words don't mean words as but a big dump of donkey poo. That's all words mean. Okay? The only true measure of your claim of true love of God is obedience. When it comes to God, there's no other measure of love for him. God said that those who love me will keep my word. Jesus Christ is the word. The Bible is the word. That is the only measure. And if we let these people in this society tell us anything else, are we being true man? Are we really? Are we being a wuss that just wants to be subjected to pleasure all the time? Because we're going to rationalize that it's okay to work 16 hours a day and not spend hardly any time with our wife. We're going to rationalize that, right? No, don't let the world send you to hell. Do not do that. Okay? We must realize our ultimate goal is not pleasure, but heaven. And you can't make it to heaven on pleasure, right? Because again, Christ shows us how to be the man we're supposed to be through suffering, through the sacrifice of our time. That's the way you as a man, as a husband, sacrifice through your time. You give your time away. That's how you give your life away for God and for your family. Okay? I'm not saying it's easy. It is tough because why? Men, we prioritize things different than God and our wives do, and our children. We do. Our way is mostly wrong. Because our way, the way we think about time and suffering is, well, I go to work, and the more hours I work, that shows everybody how much I'm giving and suffering. Yeah, but that's what you're supposed to do. That's like brushing your teeth every day and taking a poop every day and putting some mouthwash in your mouth and flossing and taking a shower. That's what you're supposed to do to keep your body right, to hygiene your body. Why do we always want fame and fortune for what we're supposed to be doing anyway? God, our wife, and our children look at our going to work like that. Well, dude, you're the man. You're supposed to do that. You are supposed to do that. Okay? That is not shown. That shows we care, but that doesn't show us. That's not really, it's a sacrifice, but it's not the sacrifice that God and our wife and kids are looking for. We all know that instinctually. I can't tell you how many men go, man, that B, I'm sitting up there and busting my butt every single day and she don't appreciate nothing. That ain't true. That ain't true. Your wife does appreciate it, but she knows that that's a job of a man. That's what we're supposed to be doing. But doing things for me as my wife, doing things for me as your wife, and loving me and doing special little things for me and helping me out when I don't ask for it, and doing things when I don't ask you, taking care of the kids and taking the kids to their football practices and all that kind of stuff, buy me special gifts, and when they Valentine's Day and Christmas and all that. The special things that you don't have to do, making me feel that I'm loved, that I'm priority number one. That's the things that your wife and kids look at. And God, his thing is this: are you worshiping me the way I want you to? Are you in the church I want you to be in? Are you being obedient to me? Are you giving me the time I need on prayer and sacrifice? Are you doing that as a man, as a husband, as a father? Okay. So next, we must be willing to give our life away. We will never be truly fulfilled and happy as a man until we are willing to die for something, to in fact give all of our life away in denial of selfishness. I cannot portray selfishness enough. It is the core of evil in our home. And we have to get our ego out the way. And once you do, you will see your family will change. Okay. Number 2, the way to authentic masculinity through suffering and responsibility. The way to authentic masculinity is through suffering and responsibility. Okay. So Archbishop Fulton J. Sheen says we are taught to abhor suffering at all costs. The only way to being a real man is through embracing suffering and responsibility. That, if you think about it, when you were a kid and you start to grow into a youth, into a teenager, into a young adult as a man, the only time you learned anything, started becoming a real man, is through suffering and responsibility. Which means what? Like my boys, hey, from the time my kids, when they start hitting past 2, so you guys start thinking about 3, 4, 5 and above and stuff, you get chores to do. As a boy. You don't be sitting around, messing up everything, don't clean up nothing. But a lot of parents don't even believe in giving their kids chores to do, making have no responsibility. How you gonna grow into a man? How's our son gonna grow into a man if we don't give our sons responsibility? And then as my boys grew older and older and older, we give them more responsibility. Like you want to drive my car, but you don't want to take it to the service station, get the oil change and stuff. No, you ain't doing that. And as we grow older and older as a father, you take more and more responsibility and you give it to your kids, especially your men, your young boys, and they become men and they become responsible and they suffer for that, right? Next, so this makes us soft and kills our thirst for battle when we don't embrace suffering. We all know that suffering hurts. It's not a good thing. It hurts, but it is a good thing. It's a holy thing because we don't learn anything unless we suffer and we sacrifice for it. If everything was good and loving and everything was just perfect, we wouldn't learn nothing. God created the universe on this premises because it was the best way for us to lose the fall, the effects of the fall, and to get, and because we're broken, right? And so this is the way he created the universe. He could create the universe in any way he wanted. He could have, but he created the universe through this way. Why? Because it's the most effective way of getting us to learn through pain and suffering. Just like people who don't whip their kids, who don't spank their kids. That's crazy. That's crazy. If a 1-year-old keeps taking their hand and putting it in the electrical socket, and we don't spank their hand, they just gonna keep doing it. No, but what do people do? We go and put these little things in the. This is the perfect example of what I mean. Instead of punishing our child, we go and get some safety device, put the device in the darn plug so the kid can't put their hand in the plug and play with it. But how is that teaching the kid not to do what I tell them to do? Right? How is that? That's not teaching the kid nothing. We've got to understand that our job as parents is to give our children to put out good, holy citizens in the world the best we can. Now, of course, you know how kids are. They ain't gonna listen for the most part till their pain starts, right? So that's how we got to look at it. Another thing, example I've always used to my wife, because I've been married to women. Women don't like spanking the kids. They really don't. Until they see that's the only way they're gonna listen. Then everybody trying to whoop the kid. The kid get 3-4 whoopings. But one of the things that I always looked at is, if I tell my child I don't care how old they are, 1, 2, 15, 19, 18, 16, whatever. Well, if I tell my kid to do something, you get 1 time. At the most, you get 2 because maybe you didn't hear me. But after that, man, it's punishment time. And the reason why I'm so hard on that is because I've seen kids run out into the street and their mother says, or their father says, hey, don't go do that. And they do it anyway. Here come a car down the street because the kid ain't listening. You cannot be sitting there telling your kid to tell your kid some 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, because that is not helping that child grow into an adult. I don't care how old they are. This is why God says, spoil the rod, spare the rod, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Spare the rod, spoil the child. Yeah. Spare the rod, spoil the child. Why? Because you can't sit to talk. You can't get on one knee and look at a 1-year-old and talk to a 1-year-old. Johnny, don't do this. Now, Johnny, you know that's bad to do that. That kid understand the thing we saying. But you know what they do understand? Spank that butt. Smack that hand. They understand that because that's pain. And if you think about it, I don't want my kids around the street. If I see a car coming and I can't get to my kid in time, and I say, Max, stop. And he don't stop. What does that do? He keep around the street, car coming 30 miles an hour down the street and takes my son out. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? That's your fault as a parent. That's my fault as a parent. Right? And I've had that happen. One of my kids, forget which one it was, a long time ago. He's like 3, 4 years old or something. I couldn't get to him. I'm at the house door. He's out there playing. Said, hey, man, he going to get. I said, hey, man, stop. And he stopped. Because he's been trained to do that, to listen to his father, to listen to his mother. And that's the fourth commandment. That's the fourth commandment. We can never allow our children to break the fourth commandment. Okay? And if you got to whoop their butt, that's what you got to do to get them to listen. Now, a lot of you people on the Dr. Spock thing, you don't never hit a child. You're not hitting a child. You're spanking a child. It's a difference. You do it out of love. Out of love, because that's the only way to give them discipline. Discipline is what you do for somebody, not what you do to somebody. I learned that a lot of years ago coaching football. So we can never allow that, okay? It's very important, okay? Masculinity, if we don't take control of our homes and embrace responsibility and through sacrifice, then this causes emasculation and effeminacy. Why we're in our home, we can't understand why our wife always fighting with us and stuff. We can't understand why our wife won't allow us to lead our house. We can't understand why the kids are all crazy and they disrespectful and they disrespect to their mama and stuff like that. We can't understand that because we ain't taking care of business. We take care of business. And I'm not saying you got to be an ogre gentleman. What I'm saying is you got to take control of your home. If you don't take control of your home, God's going to allow it to get worse. Because God understands he allows the demons in your home when we as men don't take responsibility and take care of what we're supposed to. People think that my wife is being mean to me, or she don't love me no more and all that stuff just because she's a you know what. No, it's not just because your wife's a B. It's because, yeah, some other stuff she is. But as a husband, you have a lot to do with that too. People think, oh, my kids are so disrespectful to me. I have women too, women especially. Oh, he just talks to me so, my kids talk to me so bad. They don't listen to me, And I go to figure out that as well. That's because your husband ain't on his job. Man, in my house, if either one of my kids even thought about looking wrong at my wife, there's no way that's happening. No way that's happening. And you know what that does? That your wife starts to love you more because she sees that you're not going to let anybody disrespect her and put her down from that pedestal. But what do men do every single day? We want to keep the peace, right? We want to keep the peace in the house. You just talk to my wife any way you want. Tell the kid to do something. The kids start acting looking all crazy with their mouth and stuff, getting an attitude, jumping around, jump on the floor, giving a what do you call it, a temper tantrum and stuff. And we don't do nothing. Dude, that is now how God wants us to run our homes. And if you think about what I'm saying, every time we don't run our homes properly in coalition with our wife, in combination with our wife, things get worse. Over the years, it gets worse and worse and worse. You don't even want to be. It gets to a point we don't even want to be around our kids because we don't like how they are. We created it though, but we don't want to be around them because. So anyway, cool. So. We never give in to our wife just to gain peace in our home. If it interferes with our duties and responsibilities to do what's best for the marriage and family. This is what being a true, authentic man is. This is one of the hardest things that I have to get across to men in my program. And that is this. When you have that 500-pound gorilla standing behind you called Jesus Christ, and you trying to get something done in your home, it's going to hurt. Because people don't like change. Kids don't like change and women don't like change. But the way of it is you got to do what's right for everybody. Remember, the priority is God, wife, children, and yourself last. As long as you're not being selfish and you're not putting yourself above those other three enemies, when there's something to be done that has to be done that's critical in your home, of course your wife don't agree, of course she's going to be mad. But guess what? When you're doing what Christ would have you do, the grace of God will have her get over it. It will. He will. He will help you. But the weaker we are, the more of a wuss we are. Christ ain't behind that. Why? Because he wasn't a wuss. He wasn't. That's why it's called CatholicAlpha.com, from wuss to warrior. To be a warrior like our Lord Jesus Christ on the cross. Okay? So, if you do this just for the pleasure of peace, we are in fact rejecting authentic masculinity, and in the end, we will invite chaos into our home. We're going to do 3 more for the day, and then we will go do part 2 tomorrow. So, number 3 of how to be an authentic man in your home to get the love of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of our wife, and respect and love of our children. We are charged with leadership. Understand it, Get over it. It is what it is. Just like being a test. Everything in this life is a test for you as a man. Every decision, everything you do, everything you say, everything. Nothing is a coincidence in this life. It isn't. It isn't. It isn't. Okay? So you are charged with leadership in our home. So what does that mean? In the Garden of Eden, God did what? He tasked Adam, who was our first father, and Eve is our first mother. He tasked our first father with the responsibility of naming everything. What does that mean? That means before Eve was even around, God tasked Adam, our first father, the man of the kingdom, to you are responsible for everything in your home. Your wife, your marriage, the happiness, the kids and their wife, the dishes, the diapers, the trash. You're responsible for everything, all the money, all of it. Get over it. That's what a leader does. You embrace. Just think if you were a supervisor at work, or are you the head of a corporation, or you are a coach for a football team, or you are an NFL player and you're one of the leaders on the field. What do you do? What do you do? You can't be a wuss in those positions, right? But when we go home, y'all just do what y'all want to do. Y'all just kind of whatever. And then every same thing goes crazy, and then we try to fix it, and it's too late. Okay? We do not allow, if we as a man are in leadership, any other workplace on this planet, we would never do the things that we allow to go on in our homes. This is why you need to spank your children, because kids will push you and push you and push you until you discipline them. Why? Because it's in the natural law of things. Kids, especially boys, will run your home if you don't discipline them. I'm telling you, I coach probably 1,000 boys. And I'm telling you, the more that me and my coaches catered to parents that was crazy and to kids that was whiny, stuff like that, the worse our teams got. The worse our teams got. And we didn't bring God into it, they got worse too. But when I learned after about half a season, when I learned that, listen, we got to get some control here. We can't listen. If you can't, when you come to our country, when you come to my team, when you come to my house, you're going to conform to what we trying to do, or you need to take your butt back to wherever you was at. And guess what? Kids love that. They love it. You know why? Because now we know what to expect. I know my coach loves me. He respects me. He's doing what's best for me. If in your home, if you allow your kids to disrespect you, disrespect your wife, and I don't mean just outright cussing you out, I mean just even the littlest bit of respect, because one morsel of disrespect breeds the rest of it. It just takes one time. If you don't correct it, and I mean like this, if you say, "Hey Johnny, go clean your room," and they sit there go, giving you all this body language and stuff, man, you say, look, you say that's your first chance. That's your first chance. Because if you was at work and an employee did that, you wouldn't take that. You wouldn't take that. You take his butt in the office and say, "Hey man, you can't be doing that in front of other employees like that." That's what you'd say. You would say that, right? It's the same. Leadership. We must embrace our leadership as men. Why? Because we're charged to. It's not going to go away. Why? Because God understands women have their job to do. Women can't be the leader and do all the masculine stuff in the home and then go take care of and bond and nurture the kids too, and nurture and bond with you. They don't have time for all that. Especially nowadays, what are women doing? They got to go work. Most women, unless they're stay-at-home mothers, which is a whole hell of a lot harder, I think. But, that's just my opinion. Everybody has their own. But most women today work at least 8 hours, 5 days a week. Think about it. So what does that actually mean? It's not really 8 hours. It's more like 10 or 11 hours, isn't it? Right? Because they got to get up and get ready. They got to drive there. They got to actually go to work for the 8 hours. Then they come back. They got to come back, get in the car, and come back. That's like 10, 11 hours. Sometimes it's only depending on how close they live. They live, work to their job, but you're talking between 9 and 11 hours, right? So your wife today does not have time to do your job and her job and all that stuff. And it's important that we always look at the relationship between our wife, not just from our point of view, but from our wife's point of view. And women start to get very unhappy and unsatisfied as a woman when they start doing all this stuff and they don't see any benefits from it. This is why, as a man, I implore you to never, ever neglect your wife. Never, ever neglect time with her. The reason why is because she does a lot. If you think about all the things your wife does, just think about it, and goes to work. If you got a wife that's a lawyer or a corporate executive or a factory worker or a trucker or whatever, your wife is doing a lot of things that are really not in the natural order of things for her to be doing. We all know instinctively that women should not be working. We all know that. We all know it because it's hard on them. What they're supposed to be doing is their natural. The reason they're here is to nurture our families and nurture and love our children and raise the best glorifying children that this planet can have. But today doesn't allow for that, right? A lot of it because we start this train and the train ain't gonna stop now, right? But so as a man, you got to understand what women are really made for and what you are made for. And once you understand that as a man, you can be more empathetic to your wife and love her and give her all the love she needs because you understand from her point of view what's going on. Remember, as a man, you're made for pain. You are. You're physically made for pain. You're emotionally and psychologically made for pain. That's why we can take a lot more stuff on us than women can. Because women have to be emotional, man, because they have to bond with the kids, right? And nurture you. You know, I'm not going to stop saying that. All right? So that's why I named Catholic Alpha. Not because I'm trying to be this alpha male. No, because I realized a long time ago that God wants me to stand up and and as a man of my home, I'm required to provide leadership in that home, which means what? An environment that my children and my wife can grow psychologically, spiritually, and emotionally in my home. And if I, as a man, don't create that, I'm going to get chaos, man. You know, and I had to get on my sons last night. They 19, 20 years old. I don't care. You know, I let them be I have to be the men that God created them to be. I taught them to be how to be good and honorable men. But even that, they slip. And so when they slip, you got to get in that butt. If you're going to live with me, you're going to, listen, you're going to do what God would have you do. And I'm not going to, as my job as your father, not to be your friend, is to be your guide. And me and their mother are good guys for them. But when they slip, when your children slip, I don't care how old they are. When they slip, it's your job to have a man-to-man talk with them. Why? Because if you don't, in 5 years, they're going to be coming to you, well, Daddy, my wife going to divorce me, and I'm bankrupt. I lost my job. Can I live with you? No, you can't live with me. When your butt's 40 years old. Because you screwed your life up. You didn't listen. No, you cannot live with me. So that's why I named it Catholic Alpha, because from Wolf to Warrior, because I understood that in society I can be laid back and not talk and not say nothing, just kind of have a good time and stuff. But in my home, I have a responsibility to lead my home, and I can't be this laid back dude. Even I know some of the most introvert dudes, but in their home, they realize that, look, man, I can't no longer do that. I have to make sure everything runs the way it's supposed to be. I have to create an environment in my home where everybody can thrive and be happy and things like that. And that is not going to happen sitting around letting our kids disrespect our wife and us. That's just one example. Okay. Next, we got to do the tough and hard stuff. We must make the hard and tough decisions, even when no one else in our family sees it. I talked about that. It's okay to be laid back in society, but in our home, we must be a man of God. We must be a Christian soldier. We must understand that we are important enough, and whatever we do, our wife and children do. If we're a jerk, they're going to be jerks. If we're loving and empathetic and we don't lose control and we maintain control and be as Christ, that's what our wife and our children are going to do. Okay? Number 4, chapter 2, verses 15 through 25. Your true purpose is to protect, defend, and serve. God tasked Adam, and I talked about this a little bit earlier. God tasked Adam to be responsible for all of the Garden of Eden, the animals, the birds, the trees, and everything. His wife, his marriage. As true man, you're responsible for everything in your home. Your wife is your helper, your advisor, and your counselor. I cannot express that to you much. Women want to know that you respect their opinion, that you listen to them, that you value their opinions. Not that you agree or disagree all the time. That's not the point. The fact is that you listen without interrupting and you take what she says seriously. Okay. And again, our wife is our helper. Our wife is our helpmate. They are our counselors. You know why? You have to submit to that because that is the woman that your husband, that is the woman that God gave to you to be, because she loves you more than anything more than anybody else on this planet. She does, if you cultivate it properly. So you must give her an ear. You must give her an ear. You must let her do her job in this area or you fail as true man. Number 5, the last one for the day is protect. So 5, our main mission as a man is to what? Our main mission as a man is we're responsibility for everything in our house. Talked about that. But then there's 3 smaller missions that we must do. I talked about them a little earlier too. The first one is protect, and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then we'll do the other 5 tomorrow. So protect. You are tasked by God to protect your wife and family from physical threats. We all as men understand that one, right? Protect our home from physical outside threats. You ain't gonna let some jerk off coming through your door trying to assault your wife and your kids without you at least stand in front of them and trying to, if you got a gun or a knife or not, even if you got to throw your body in front of them, it's your job to protect your wife and your kids from that stuff, from physical threats, even from the government, from whoever that's trying to assault your family. Okay. Next, there's 2 parts to protection. The other part of protection, in protection, the person you are charged to protect is your beloved wife from you. So you got to protect your wife from you. What does that mean? What? You can't raise your voice to your wife. You have to listen to your wife. You can't call her names or criticize her or blame her. You can't do all these things that hurt her very deeply when she is bonded to you through marriage, through our Lord Jesus Christ, through those kids, and through the marital embrace. So it's very important that we protect our wives because we can damage her by the way we just talk to her, our tone of voice, our body language, everything, right? Because she loves you more than anything, and her thing is, well, he's supposed to love me more than anything. So if you do those things I said, then she's going to start thinking you don't, because she loves you, and the opportunity for you to cause great pain is always present, okay? That's very important that we understand that we can hurt our wives very deeply when we don't show them the love and attention that the respect that they deserve. Why do they deserve that? First of all, because we chose to marry, we chose her as our beloved wife, to spend the eternity with her, and she is the mother of our children. And sometimes even I look at, man, just for a second, sometimes that amazes me too, still amazes me. I look at my wife and I say to myself, that's my wife. It's weird. And then you go a step deeper, you go, that is the mother of my children. She is the mother of my children. She had those babies. We made love and we consummated our love. And through our love, now we have 5 kids. And she is the mother of them. And so, it's like the difference between calling your wife your beloved and your partner. Partners don't have babies for people. And it's important that we look at it. Beloved, our wife is our wife, our beloved. She's the mother of our children. That's why she deserves everything that she thinks that she should get from us. And she knows it deep down. And when we don't give it to her, see, he don't love me. I told you, girl, he don't love you. And she talked to her divorced friends and her single friends, and they all tell her, girl, I told you he didn't really love you. He's just using you, girl. He's just using you. Get rid of him. And when we don't show our wife true priority in our life, then we allow Satan, those divorced and single women, they're evil, telling your wife that, we allow them to get in between us. And that's where the problems start. So that being said, we are done for the day. We're going to take this quick break and we will be back and be concluding. Bam. If you're getting value from this podcast and would like more personal marriage help, visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an opportunity to work with me personally for free. Yes, within 30 days, learn how to become a better husband that attracts your wife back to you. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com and get a plan tailored specific to your marriage and situation. I've helped hundreds of men in their marriages. Allow me the chance to help you using my personal and gained experience. Visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for superior coaching for your marriage. Again, SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com. That's SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com to become the man God created you to be and the husband your wife needs. Lastly, I always get the question, why don't you help women? And I always answer them, I do. So, for all of you beloved wives out there that want to reignite that feeling of emotional closeness and complete love from your hubby, consider marriage coaching and visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for an improved marriage within 30 days. Okay, all right, we are back, and as we conclude the day with our quote from Pope Benedict XVI, I hope you guys got some out of that, and we will do part 2, the next 5 tomorrow, and I hope you join me. So, as we end, we say, as we always do, Christ, quote, Christ offers you comfort, but you weren't made for comfort. Did I say that wrong, y'all? I sure did. I said Christ, didn't I? I'm sorry. So let me start over. That's how we try to start ad-libbing stuff. So the quote is, quote, society offers you comfort, but you weren't made for comfort. You were made for greatness. Now go forth, Christian soldier. The spiritual fight is up on you. Fast, pray, and prepare for battle. Thank you for listening in today. If what you heard helped you in any way and you would like more personal attention, visit SaveMyCatholicMarriage.com for superior marriage coaching. And remember to join the Catholic Alpha Radical Live podcast as a caller or listener every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern. To join as a caller, dial area code 313-RADICAL. To join as a listener or view the live stream, visit the Catholic Alpha Radical Live Facebook page or visit CatholicAlpha.com for Catholic marriage help that actually works. Bam!